I'm sure that hearing it felt like you're in Philly in the Garden is not music to Ashley Nicole Moss's ears, and I'm sure you're not looking forward to James Harden punishing your Knicks again tonight, which feels inevitable. So Michael Holley, surprise, surprise, is skeptical about how successful this Harden-Embiid pairing can be. 2 games, Timberwolves, Knicks. How about you, Ashley?
I'm not, I'm on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. I think it says a lot that 2 guys who haven't played together kind of just have this immense amount of chemistry right off the bat. Yes, I understand that it's only 2 games, a couple of games can't be too telling, but you've seen, teams and situations that were put together in the offseason that have played a lot longer. Look at the Lakers, for example, that just don't seem to have a chemistry. So the fact that James Harden was able to come into Philly and just right away be implemented into, their entire foundation and works well with the star, the MVP candidate of Joel Embiid, says a lot. And maybe these are the real scary hours. I said in the beginning, that this was the team that James Harden should have went to for a multitude of reasons. I thought the fit was just better. Also, I thought that Houston would get a lot more in return from Philly than Brooklyn. And I didn't think that James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant were ever going to work together. It just took them a longer time to figure out that it wasn't going to work. James Harden's exactly where he should have been from the beginning, and that's in Philadelphia.
See, because Michael a hater, so no matter what, if James Harden could put up a 50-point triple-double tonight, sorry, Ashley, and Michael's going to be like, it's just the Knicks. Just wait for it. Just wait for it.
Listen. It's a good move for Philadelphia, right? It's a good move. James Harden, they brought in another scorer, Joel Embiid. Yeah. Both of those guys to get 50. As a matter of fact, with the Knicks' luck this year, Ashley, they both may score 50 against the Knicks.
At the foul line.
In the same game. But I'm saying it's a better move for Brooklyn. Brooklyn could ever figure it out. But I think Brooklyn got a lot more for what they needed from this trade than Philadelphia did. You agree with that?
Well, I think that Philadelphia didn't need as many moving pieces as Brooklyn did. So I feel like it's an unfair kind of a scale. Yes, if you look at just, the swap in general, yeah, Brooklyn technically got more pieces that can go ahead and be more beneficial. But Philly didn't need as much work. I mean, Kevin Durant is expected to come back this week, so that's going to drastically help. But you still have Kyrie Irving, Kyrie Irving's still a part-time player, and Ben Simmons now, they say he's week to week. There are rumors and reports that he may not even play in March. So you're still kind of in the same situation with different pieces than that you were last season. Yeah, you have the help of Seth Curry. You have the help of Andre Drummond, but there's nothing like that big 3. There's nothing like having those 3 superstars on the court at the same time. You didn't get it with James Harden, part of the big 3. And now it seems like, the big 3 with Ben Simmons is even more prolonged. And again, Kyrie's only available half the time. Again, putting a lot of the responsibility on Kevin Durant, who's coming back from injury. I'm not going to say it's deja vu of what happened last season around this time of year, but it's eerily similar. It's very, very scary and very, very eerily similar. I'll say that much.
As in, it just feels like it may not be in the cards for them. Because I think what's interesting is, Michael, this is now, we came off vacation last week. This is the 3rd straight day that you have asked a guest to handicap a trade that took place while all 3 of us were at the Super Bowl. So you're still handicapping the trade, and we ain't seen the key piece that went to Brooklyn, which says it all. Point funny. Being, I'm watching the Nets lose again last night, and I'm saying, for all the talk about their potential, time slipping into the future. They don't have enough time to develop chemistry. Yeah.
There's not enough time. And you know what? The whole develop chemistry thing, I think the jury's out on that, because you see what happens. James Harden gets to Philly and automatically they look a lot better. Him and Joel Embiid are gelling. So there could just be players who you put them on the same court and they just work well together. So chemistry is a 50-50. It's a 50-50 thing. You know what I'm saying?
Certain players could overcome that learning curve. Simmons, though, with Kyrie and Durant, I question a little bit more, but I hear you.
I think to me, that's the biggest thing. And again, I don't like the fact that the Nets are once again relying on their 30-something-year-old superstar. And listen, I think Kevin Durant is the greatest basketball player in the NBA. He's one of the greatest in the world and will go down as one of the greatest of all time. But he's still just a person, and you still are asking a lot of somebody who is fresh off an injury and who's not 25 years old anymore. It just does not seem like it's a formula for success. And it seems like a lot of the same from the Nets and just with different players. And it's I don't know. It makes you a little eerie as a basketball fan. As a Knicks fan, I'm okay. But as a basketball fan, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work.
But see, all right, that's true. And Mike's right. You know, time's slipping away. Steve Miller Band. But the rest of the Eastern Conference is a little afraid, and rightfully so, afraid that the Nets will figure it out and just get into the tournament. Because if they get into that tournament, and if they get into the 6th spot, it's trouble. We know that. So I did this the other night when they have like 19 games. What's that?
Trouble for who? The Nets? Because I don't think anyone in the people in the East fear the Nets like they used to.
They should. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a fan, so I fear them though. I think they have 19 games left. Out of those 19, I think they have 9 opponents who are over 500. They had an easy schedule at the end.
That's half.
But okay, so they need to win a bunch of games, and they need Cleveland and Boston to falter a bit.
Bro, that's
so they
so
can
many
catch up.
ifs.
That's a lot
I know
of
it's a lot of ifs.
Look,
hey, you know what, Ashley? Ashley, and especially I want Michael Smith to hear this. It's not as many ifs as if Kyrie hadn't been hurt, if James Harden had more than one leg.
Moving on,
if
Ashley.
Kevin Durant shoes size.
I hear you, but I'll just say this is that and my math might be a little off because some teams did play yesterday, but seeds 1 through 6 in the East are only separated by about 5.5 games. So the East is a lot more open for grab than it's ever been before. It's more competitive than it's ever been before. And I think that it's actually in reverse. I don't think that the Nets fear may be a little bit of an exaggeratory word, but I don't think the Nets want to have to face a Miami. I don't think they want to have to face a Milwaukee. I don't think they want to have to face a Philadelphia. I don't think they want to have to face the Bulls. I think that maybe if this were last season, the Nets could slip into 6, 7 and be fine. This is a completely different East, and Miami looks amazing. Chicago looks amazing. Don't sleep on the Cavs either. There's a lot more competition. It's not going to be a cakewalk for whatever team that the Nets have to face, but it's especially not going to be a cakewalk without all of your people on the court when you need them to be.
Mike, I feel like there's a role reversal.
What was it? Exaggeratory? Can we
Exaggeratory.
That? Exaggeratory. I was just stuck on that. I was just stuck on that flawless conjugation. But I do want to talk
Mike,
about your
I'm
former
the person.
team. Yeah.
How about I'm here?
Yeah, I know. Who knew you'd be a Nets
caping up
fan?
for the Brooklyn Nets.
Which goes to show you. But then listen, all you got it's easy math. It's easy math. Your problem was always Harden. Kyrie annoyed you to a certain extent, but your problem was always Harden and how you don't like his game. So now you're hating on him in Philly, and now you can root for the Nets. But you mentioned the Heat, your old team, Ashley.
Yeah.
They got Milwaukee tonight. What's it going to take for more people to look at Miami, the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, and the representative of the Eastern Conference from the bubble 2 years ago, as the favorite in the Eastern Conference? All they've done is won despite personnel losses throughout the season. They still got Jimmy Butler. They still got Eric Spoelstra. They still got a culture. They still got Bam Adebayo. Tyler Hero's back. Like, why don't they seem to get more love? They probably get less love in national conversations than the Nets do. Certainly, more so than the Bulls and some of these other Eastern Conference contenders.
It's such a weird dynamic, right? Because you would think Miami was like Arkansas, the way that people just like kind of push them to the side. Miami's a major market. It's a major sports town. And I remember when I was on sports radio and that whole bubble situation happened and I was covering the Heat, it was kind of the same conversation. A lot of people counted them out. A lot of people were not even aware of how well they were playing. They just go under the radar unless they're on national television playing, the Bucks or the Nets or the Lakers. And then people, realize how good of a team they are, and they quickly forget. But I can tell you one thing, the Miami Heat organization, Pat Riley, those guys, they could care less about that. Heat culture is just what, I'm about to say right now. And that is, look, this is the kennel, as they like to call themselves. We are dogs. We're going to go ahead and fight whoever we have to fight. That's why we're top dogs in the East. We don't care who, gives us our accolades. We don't care who pays attention. We're going to do the work. We're going to go ahead and make you feel us when it counts. And that's in the playoffs, and that's in the regular season. And that is really the motto of the Heat and the Heat culture. They don't really care about everything else. But it is weird because Miami is a major market. It's the sixth borough, if you want to call it. All the New Yorkers now live down here in the 305. So it's weird they don't get that same love as some of the other teams. I really, truthfully have never understood that. It's like it stopped after the Big Three era and just kind of went away.
You said Miami is the sixth borough.
It is.
Let's talk about the first. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about Manhattan. Let's talk about your boys. Let's talk about the Knicks. I mean, seriously, like last year.
I was gonna spare you.
Everybody.
No.
We gotta go there. We gotta do it because last year, Tibbs, Coach of the Year, Julius Randle revived his career. Everybody loves him now. Julius Randle mad at the media, mad at the fans. Tibbs, what's going on with him? Kemba Walker done for the season. What's happened to the Knicks and what is going to happen to the Knicks going forward?
I think the biggest thing is this team lost their identity. And I think that, with every season and every player, you're going to see, rises and you're going to see pits in their stats. You're not going to be shooting, 50%, 60% every single season. Numbers change and things like that. But at your core, you should always remember who you are, not only as a team, but as an individual and what your individual role is on a team. And the Knicks have completely lost that. They got away from their defensive identity, which is, every time they step on that court, whether you were more talented offensively, they were going to make you work. And we saw that all last season. And then as individual players, everyone kind of knew what their role was. Although people weren't happy with it, Julius Randle was the leader. He was the primary ball handler because we really, as a team, didn't really have another option. Now you went ahead and you added more offensive threats that did not really pan out. But because of that, there's a lot of roles and a lot of questions about who's the primary ball handler, who's the closer. You don't really have a point guard. So who is the point guard until you can get one? There's just a lot of questions. Tibbs's rotations aren't always the best. His time management isn't always the best. His decision-making isn't always the best. So it's really just a snowball of uncertainty, and it's a snowball of just bad decisions and bad moves made by the front office in the offseason, not making moves by the trade deadline. Anything that can go wrong has gone wrong for the New York Knicks. And it's starting to feel like 2014 again. And I don't like how that feels. It's not a fun time. Dark ages.
It is always fun times when you drop through, Ashley Nicole Moss. We appreciate you. Great seeing you. Great seeing you at the Super Bowl.
It was
fun to watch
so
you
cool.
flourish in your element. Yeah, we got a chance to see one another in person.
You had a great setup there. You had a great setup.
It was
Everybody
dope.
came through, right?
And listen, a couple of days later, it was the All-Star in Cleveland. Y'all didn't miss anything. So just know that much. You didn't.
Oh, okay. That is a relief.
Yeah.
That is a relief.
You didn't miss much, I'll tell you that.
A little bit of FOMO going on for me and Michael. Well, for me, because Michael was in freaking Mexico. So he was definitely not worried about All-Star.
Michael, I should have went with you because Cleveland was cold.
Man, y'all just crushing. Y'all crushing Cleveland. Y'all, that's home team right there. Come on.
No, great people. I gotta say,
people,
Cleveland has great people, very, passionate people about their sports teams, but the weather,
just too
not
cold.
ideal.
Just too cold.
Yeah,
I got you.
Not ideal.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.